Hey guys, this is the Fat Panda, and I have to you a belated Week 7 power rankings. I know it's almost the end of the week, and I think about half the battles have happened already, but I figured that I would still record this and get it out to you to show my thoughts on what all has gone on in the past week. A few trades. We're approaching the trade deadline rapidly, and actually after this video, the week 8 is the last week for trades if you have any left that you want to make. But a few trades were made, a bunch of battles happened, and the power rankings have shifted as they tend to do every week. So we will hop right into it. At the number 1 slot, holding strong as they do every week, are the Melbourne Lucario, seemingly completely unstoppable after this week having taken down the Farmland Farfetch'd, one of the strongest offensive teams in Melbourne, just overwhelmed the defenses that the Farmland were able to bring, and while falling prey to some fun little prep things, were still completely overwhelming and really had no trouble in cleaning up their opponents. Melbourne's team is very good. I never expect them to lose, and it certainly wouldn't surprise me if they won the entire season, having not lost a single game. At number 2, we have the Minnesota Lycanrocs, who are holding steady on the number 2 slot this week, having taken on the Hekseville Honchkrow and won quite handily off the back of the GWS Grimsnarl. Got into a bulk-up war between Grimsnarl and a Corviknight, and while it looked like luck took Minnesota's side with a critical hit from his GWS Snooze, I want to say. Yeah, GWS Snooze is the dark one. Didn't actually end up mattering in the end when we found out, because it turns out the Grimsnarl also Darkest Lariat, so it was going to quickly become a one-sided match regardless. And Grimsnarl pretty much took over the entire match there on its own. At number 3, we have the Seattle Serperior coming off another win against the GWS Galladiators, with Scarf Diggersby going absolutely crazy this match. And just the sheer amount of offense on Seattle's team was too much for the Gladiators to handle, with Scarf Diggersby and Charizard and Torkoal even finally getting some time in the light, getting a couple cleanup KOs once the opposing team couldn't really touch it anymore. So a good match by Seattle, and rising fast in the power rankings. It seems they're getting better almost all the time. At number 4, falling down a little bit, are the Boston Red Sawks. They did end up losing their match this week to Rochester Raboot. Turns out they didn't actually have that good of an answer to bring for a Scrafty with Moxie and 2 stab moves, including Drain Punch. He wasn't actually ever able to just straight up kill it with anything he brought, and just kept racking up Moxie boosts until Boston's entire team fell. He did make one trade this week with the Tennessee Red Gyarados, giving up his Runerigus for the other team's Umbreon, which is... it's a weird trade. Like, I don't think Runerigus was really doing his team any favors. Umbreon is a little weird because he's got Vaporeon, and they're probably the 2 most defensive evolutions. Their roles are almost exactly the same with some minor tweaks one way or the other. He does have almost all of his trades left for the season, so I'm curious to see if there's going to be some more movement at the trade deadline to make this more diverse of a team, or if he's just going to roll out with 2 evolutions for the rest of the season. I don't know which it's going to be, but we will see in the next video after the trade deadline and find out if there were any more changes made. At number 5, dropping down another ranking after his loss to Melbourne, are the Farmland Farfetch'd. Just didn't really have any way to deal with Dracovish once it was already in. He did actually bring an amazing counter in Prankster Meowth with Reflect and Trick. What was Trick? Trick was like Lagging Tail or Iron Ball, I'm pretty sure. And just absolutely crippled Dracovish. The problem was he had to sacrifice something to get Meowstic in safely, and at that point he essentially sacrificed 2 Mons to just stop Dracovish, and that allowed the Gengar to just absolutely take over. In prep, he was very, very close to doing it exactly right. I would have suggested probably putting the eject button on Toxapex. That way it would have come in, taken the Bandit, I'm pretty sure it was a Bandit Dracovish, hit, and then safely ejected out to Meowstic, and he could have gone from there. That way Toxapex wouldn't have had to be sacrificed, and it might have been a closer match depending on Gengar and other things as well. But it wasn't the case, so Toxapex and Meowstic had to die to stop Dracovish, and that was just too much of a hole for Farmland to dig out of, it looked like, this week. At number 6, we have the Vegas Golden Magnemites with a pretty good win this week. I believe he was against Atlanta, yes, who just really didn't have an answer to bring for G-Max Hatterini. And so after, a decent amount of foreplay and each team taking a few hits, Hatterini just kind of came in, trick-roomed, and then cleaned up the rest of the match a few turns later. And that's kind of what Hatterini does. G-Max or regular can both do it. And you have to have a way to stop that in the late game. Otherwise, what's going to happen to Atlanta is going to happen to everyone. At number 7, rising up a couple spots in the rankings, are the Tennessee Red Gyarados, hopefully having gotten their life back on track. Finally picking up a win after dropping 3 straight. And a win over a pretty good team, the Warsaw Rapidash, who just didn't really have a way to stop Jellicent, the stall god, who was absolutely unkillable, it seemed, this week. And after just playing around with its food for long enough, all it took was Centiskorch coiling up once to clean up basically the entire rest of the match, and that was that. Tennessee is, of course, the other half of the trade with Boston this week, giving up his Umbreon for Runerigus. I think it's actually a pretty good trade for him. Tennessee doesn't really seem like the type of trainer who wants to use something like Umbreon, which is a more dedicated stall, cleric, wish, blah, blah, blah type of Pokemon. He seems to favor more things like Jellicent as evidence this week, and I think Runerigus will help him in that regard, although having basically your defensive core both be ghost types is certainly a risk, but Runerigus offers him a couple things that he's desperately lacked for a little while now. Ground type, which is, you have to at least have 1, if not 2 ground types on your team, otherwise people are going to volt all over you, which is a quick way to lose a match. And now he's also got Stealth Rocks on his team again, which is something, it's at least important to have the option. For Stealth Rocks, they're too powerful to completely ignore. So definitely a good trade for Tennessee. I think he's basically out of trades as it is. I think he has like 1 more FA and maybe 1 more coach trade or something. So the team looks like it's probably about to be pretty solidified here, barring any sudden surprises at the end of the next week. Number 8, we have Warsaw Rapidash, who, as I mentioned just a little bit ago, were essentially completely unable to break through the Jellicent that Tennessee brought. Despite bringing both Roserade and Rotom Wash, he wasn't really proactive enough calling Jellicent's come-outs, and because of that, there was never any lost momentum when Warsaw maybe could have doubled into Roserade or something like that, expecting Jellicent to come out. Jellicent was just free to come out every time, and that's probably the biggest flaw I saw, because otherwise Warsaw was pretty much dominating the entire match. It just, when it came down to it, Jellicent was unkillable, and he really wasn't able to deal with it. At number 9, we have the Atlanta Beedrills, who dropped a match as well this week to Vegas Golden Magnemites. Like I mentioned earlier, really just didn't have any way to deal with G-Max Hatterini. Didn't bring anything that maybe could have helped stifle its offensive, something like Steel Savali or, who knows. I mean, even Steel Savali doesn't like Mystical Fire or whatever. So it would have been hard, but there just really wasn't anything at all. So that was what caused the problem for Atlanta in the first place this week. At number 10 and rising up the rankings every week it feels are the Toronto Torterras, who are up to 3 wins on the season now. This week, riding Malamar all the way to victory with 5 KOs. Malamar was completely unstoppable. Sacramento, who is Toronto's opponent, had absolutely nothing that could touch it outside of Cinderace's U-turn, and even that, once Malamar could get to +1 or +2 before it was able to U-turn, was not going to do any damage, and that's all she wrote for that. It was a fantastic prep bring. Malamar has limited uses, but if you can steal a win or two like this every season with it, it's definitely worth a spot on your team. At number 11 are the Sacramento Kingler, who lost to the aforementioned Malamar last week. Just had absolutely nothing for it, and got absolutely cleaned house. Number 12, we have the Rochester Raboot, who did sneak a win against Boston this week on the back of the Scrafty there. Turns out Moxie plus Drain Punch, when you're against an opponent that doesn't really have a way to stop it, is pretty dang good. Turns out Fighting Dark is just about the stab combo you need to break through Boston's teams most of the time. And Scrafty was the ticket this time, picking up another nice 5 KOs. And also a trade here for Rochester, trading off their Raboot for Cramorant. I don't think Raboot has come a single time this season, and I mean, to be honest, I don't particularly see Cramorant coming either. He must have picked it up specifically for a coach coming up, or maybe he just really wants to use Cramorant and he figures the season's lost already. I don't really know. I'm pretty indifferent on this trade. I don't think either is going to come any week, but who knows, maybe he'll surprise me. At number 13, we have the Bolton Boldores, who have won their first match of the season. Golisopod and Excadrill were a surprisingly completely unstoppable combo, as whatever threatened one was completely, worthless against the other, and they just absolutely tore Tampa Bay's team apart until the very end, when Toxtricity was able to come in safely and clean up with the last 3 KOs on its own. You can really see the trades that he's made in the last week or two are really, really, really helping the team, as Toxtricity and Golisopod are both recent pickups and both have done some serious work in the past week. This kind of team is much better than the team he had before, and kind of wish he'd managed to get these trades in earlier in the season. His record would probably be significantly better than it is now. But if he can string together 6 wins to end the season, 6-6 is certainly not impossible to make the playoffs. So that should absolutely be his goal. And with the team, with the changes he's made, it's definitely not an impossibility. The team is good enough to string that together. He's just got to play as well as he did last week. At number 14, we have GWS Galladiators, who did lose again last week against Seattle. He had some unluck in the very beginning of the match with a couple rock slide misses, but looking at the rock slides when they came out, at worst they might have lost Seattle 1 sack over the course of the match, and the match was nowhere near that close. So I'm not particularly interested in whatever unluckiness happened there. In reality, he was just overwhelmed by Diggersby and in the cleanup mode Torkoal, as funnily as that is. But he just didn't have the tools this week, despite bringing essentially everything that you would expect to bring to Combat Sun with his team. The Shift Tree, Scarf Lunatone, stuff like that. Just really wasn't able to get it done, unfortunately. At number 15, we have Tampa Bay Toxtricity dropping down to one more slot, who just didn't really have any way to deal with that Golisopod Excadrill combo that Bolton brought. He did have Heliolisk, but either it didn't have Surf or he just wasn't using it. Maybe it was choice. I don't specifically remember the context of the battle, but for some reason Helios was never able to do it on its own, and he just kind of got slowly picked apart by those two over the course of the match. And then at number 16, dropping down another holding tight on the last slot, unfortunately, are the Hekseville Honchkrow, who dropped another match this week against the Minnesota Lycanroc. Notable moment was the Bulk Up Honchkrow, Bulk Up Corviknight, which looked like it might be able to steal the match until Grimmsnarl started bulking up alongside it and then KO'd it with a crit. And after that, the team just kind of fell apart because it didn't have any actual way to deal with Bulk Up Grimmsnarl outside of just sacrificing 3 or 4 mons, hitting it every time. But this last week for trades, I don't know if they've made any trades so far this season. I expect to see several trades made for Hekseville if they are not just giving up on the season. Like I said with Bolton, 6-6 has made playoffs before, so don't keep it, don't give up yet. Make some trades to see if you can make your team any better. If you win out from here, you're 6-6, that you've tied everyone in your division as far as divisional record goes, and tiebreakers can be really freaking whack. So there's always a chance. At least if you have only 6 losses, there's always a chance. So don't give up quite yet. Here we have a breakdown of all of the rankings for you if you just want to take a look at it. Lots of small shifts here and there as people are settling kind of into where they're going to be at the end of the season, I think. Really, if you're looking at this, like the true playoff potentials are probably 1 through 9. I wouldn't be surprised if 8 of those made it and one of them accidentally fell out. But right now, technically, everyone's in the playoff race. There's a couple 3-win teams like Toronto that could still easily sneak into the spotlight and make a playoff push. And Bolton and Hekseville, the 1-win teams, are certainly not out of it. Not unless they lose next week. Then at 7 losses, the season is probably over for them. But there is always a chance. MVPs, Minnesota's been on a tear, and he is focusing most of his attentions on Mamoswine and G-Max Grimmsnarl. No surprise seeing them up there. And Primarina has been an absolute destructive force this season. I'm not actually sure. I don't think it's been KO'd yet. I'd have to check to make sure, but I think that is probably the case. All right, that's all I got for you guys today. Until next time, I'll see you later.